That number you just saw, that's the median retirement savings of the average 45-year-old in America right now. Not the average, the median, meaning half of all 45-year-olds have less than that. And here's what makes that number terrifying. At 45, you have roughly 20 years left before the traditional retirement age. 20 years sounds like a lot, but we're going to show you exactly why, for millions of people, it isn't. Stay with us, because by the end of this video, you'll know exactly where you stand, and more importantly, what to do if you don't like the answer. Let's get into the real data first. No sugarcoating, no soft landing. According to the Federal Reserve's 2025 Survey of Consumer Finances, the most comprehensive wealth snapshot in the United States, here's what the average 45-year-old looks like financially. Mean net worth, approximately $680,000. Sounds incredible, right? Wait, don't get excited yet, because the mean gets pulled upward by billionaires, by the ultra-wealthy, by people who skew the entire curve just by existing. The median net worth, which tells you what the person in the middle actually has, is closer to $170,000. That's the gap between what we think people have and what people actually have. And when it comes to retirement accounts specifically, the median 45-year-old has saved just $87,000 for retirement. $87,000 in an era where financial experts say you need at least $1.5 million to retire comfortably. That's not a gap. That's a canyon. And we haven't even gotten to the part that should really worry you, because it's not about the number you have right now. It's about the number you need and whether the math even works anymore. We'll get there. But first, let's break down the full spectrum, because average doesn't tell the whole story. At 45, Americans tend to fall into 4 wealth tiers, and understanding which tier you're in changes everything about your next move. Tier 1, the financially fragile. These are the roughly 28% of Americans at 45 who have less than $25,000 in total savings. Not retirement savings, total savings. These are the people who are one medical bill, one job loss, one emergency away from financial collapse. And the terrifying part? Many of them don't even know how close to the edge they're standing. Tier 2, the median middle. This is the largest group, the $25,000 to $250,000 range. On the surface, it looks okay. They own a home, or they're trying to. They have a 401k, or something that resembles one. They're not broke, but they're not building either. They're on a treadmill, running hard, going nowhere. And the clock, as we'll show you in a moment, is not their friend. Tier 3, the builders. $250,000 to $750,000 in net worth. These are the people doing the right things, consistently, maxing contributions, investing in index funds, avoiding lifestyle inflation. They're not rich yet, but they're on track. This is the tier where small decisions start to compound into life-changing outcomes. Tier 4, the wealthy 45-year-old. Over $750,000 in net worth. They're in the top 20% of their age group, and they didn't get there by accident. We're going to talk about exactly what separates Tier 4 from Tier 1, because it's not always what you think. But first, here's something the data reveals that almost nobody talks about. There's a wealth killer hiding inside most 45-year-olds' finances. It doesn't show up on a bank statement, doesn't send a warning notification, and it's been quietly draining wealth for decades. It's called lifestyle inflation. And at 45, it's either already done its damage, or you're still in the middle of it without even realizing. Here's how it works. At 25, you make $40,000 a year. You spend $38,000. You save the rest. At 35, you make $80,000. You spend $78,000. You save the rest. At 45, you make $120,000. You spend $118,000. You wonder where the money went. The car got bigger. The house got bigger. The vacations got further. The kids got more expensive. And every time income went up, spending chased it like a shadow. This is the trap, and the Federal Reserve data backs it up. American savings rate as a percentage of income actually decreases between ages 35 and 50 for the median household. People earn more. They save less of it. Not because they're irresponsible, because nobody ever showed them the math. Let us show it to you right now. If you're 45 and you have $87,000 saved right now, the median figure, here's what happens depending on what you do next. Scenario 1. You do nothing. You leave that $87,000 where it is. You contribute nothing additional for the next 20 years. At a 7% average annual return, the historical average of a diversified index portfolio, you end up with approximately $337,000 at age 65. Not bad, right? Wrong. At a 4% withdrawal rate, the standard rule for not outliving your money, that $337,000 gives you about $13,480 per year. That's $1,123 a month. For a full year of retirement living, add Social Security. The average benefit in 2025 was about $1,907 per month, and you're looking at just over $3,000 a month to live on for the rest of your life. That's the do-nothing scenario. Scenario 2. You wake up at 45, same $87,000 starting starting point, but now you start contributing $1,000 a month going forward at the same 7% return over 20 years. Your retirement account grows to approximately $1.1 million. Add Social Security. Now you're looking at a $5,500 to $6,500 per month retirement income. Same starting point. The only difference, one decision, made at 45. And if you can contribute $2,000 a month, now we're talking $1.8 million at retirement. A fundamentally different life. The math isn't cruel. The math is actually generous if you show up for it. But here's what the math doesn't tell you. And this is the part most financial channels completely skip over. Here's why so many 45-year-olds know the math and still don't act on it. It's not a knowledge problem. It's a psychology problem. Behavioral economists call it present bias, the brain's tendency to value immediate comfort over future security. At 45, present bias is at its most dangerous peak because you're old enough to feel the pressure of retirement, but young enough to still believe you have time. That belief, that I'll deal with it later belief, is the single most expensive thought a middle-aged person can have. Research from the National Bureau of Economic Research found that people who delay financial action by just 5 years in their 40s end up with 37% less wealth at retirement. 37%. Not because they made bad investments, because they waited. There's something else the research shows about 45-year-olds that will either frustrate you or free you, depending on where you are right now. Here's the part nobody tells the behind 45-year-old, and it matters more than any savings number we've shown you today. The decade between 45 and 55 is, statistically, the highest earning decade of most Americans' careers. Peak salary, peak expertise, peak professional leverage, which means if you've been sleeping on your finances, but this is your window. This is the decade where someone in Tier 1 or Tier 2 can, with real intentionality, jump a tier. Not through luck, not through a get-rich-quick scheme, through 5 specific wealth behaviors that the Tier 4 group consistently practices. Behaviors that the research confirms have more impact than starting early. Let's go through each one. Number 1. They stop trying to time the market. The average investor loses between 1.5 and 3% of annual returns every year trying to buy low and sell high. The wealthy 45-year-old figured out that time in the market beats timing the market every single time. Number 2. They killed the debt that didn't build wealth. Not all debt is equal. A mortgage on an appreciating asset, tolerable. Credit card debt at 22% interest, a wealth emergency. The Tier 4 group ruthlessly eliminates high-interest consumer debt, not because they're disciplined, but because they understand that eliminating 22% interest is a guaranteed 22% return. You can't beat that anywhere. Number 3. They maximize tax advantage space first. In 2026, a 45-year-old can contribute $23,500 to a 401k, $7,000 to an IRA, and $4,300 to an HSA if eligible. That's over $34,000 per year in tax advantage contributions. Most people max out none of them. The wealthy 45-year-old treats this limit as a floor, not a ceiling. Number 4. They built income outside their job. Salary is a single point of failure. The data is clear. The wealth gap between 45-year-olds who have multiple income streams versus those who don't widens dramatically by retirement. Whether it's rental income, dividend income, a side business, digital assets, the method matters less than the principle. Never let your financial future depend entirely on one employer's decision. Number 5. They got ruthlessly honest about their number. The vagueness of "I should save more" is a wealth killer. The Tier 4 45-year-old knows their specific retirement number, not around $1 million, not "I'll figure it out later." They know the exact amount they need, the exact rate of savings required to get there, and the exact date they need to arrive. Specificity is how vague intentions become actual wealth. Let's make this personal now. Here are the benchmark savings figures at 45. What top financial planners and the Fidelity Retirement Index both suggest you should have at this stage of life. By 45, you should aim to have saved 3 times your annual salary. So if you earn $60,000, you're targeting $180,000 saved. If you earn $100,000, you're targeting $300,000. If you earn $150,000, you're targeting $450,000. Now here's the real question. Where do you fall? If you're at or above your 3 times number, you're on track. The goal now is, don't slow down. If you're between 1 times and 3 times, you're behind but not out. The actions we've outlined, they apply to you immediately, tonight, not next year. If you're below 1 times, hear this clearly. You are not doomed, but you are in the window, the final major window, where decisive action still produces a dramatically different outcome. The math we showed you earlier is real. A 45-year-old with $30,000 saved, who starts contributing $1,500 a month still ends up with over $800,000 by 65. That's the power of this decade. Don't waste it waiting for the perfect moment. We can't talk about wealth at 45 in 2020 2026 without addressing the environment we're actually living in. Because the rules have shifted, inflation has permanently repriced what retirement costs. The comfortable retirement figure that was $1 million in 2015 now looks closer to $1.5 to $1.8 million. Just to maintain the same standard of living, interest rates remain elevated compared to the decade prior, which is actually good news for savers with high-yield accounts, but dangerous for anyone carrying variable rate debt. The AI economy is restructuring entire industries, meaning the career stability that 45-year-olds once relied on to coast into retirement is no longer guaranteed. Adaptability isn't a nice-to-have anymore. It's a wealth strategy. And perhaps most importantly, Social Security's long-term solvency is not what it was. The 2025 Social Security Trustees Report projects that the trust fund could be depleted as early as 2034, which would trigger an automatic 17% cut in benefits. That doesn't mean Social Security disappears, but it does mean the gap you need to fill with personal savings just got wider. In 2026, the 45-year-old who wins is not the one who earns the most. It's the one who builds the most certainty into their financial future. And certainty comes from one thing: knowing your number and moving toward it every single month. You stayed until the end. That tells us something about you. Not everyone does, and the ones who don't, they're the same people who'll scroll past this information and wonder, 5 years from now, why nothing changed. But you're still here, which means some part of you already knows this matters. And here's what we want you to walk away with today. Not just the data, not just the benchmarks, but this: 45 is not the beginning of the end. It is, for those who choose it, the beginning of the build. The people who transformed their financial lives didn't do it by being exceptional. They did it by being consistent. They showed up every month. They made the contribution. They didn't chase the hot stock. They didn't wait for the perfect moment. They decided that their future self deserved the same attention they gave their past regrets. You don't need to be rich at 45 to retire well. You need to be intentional. And if you're watching this right now, if you made it to the end of this video, then intentional is exactly what you are. The question is no longer where do you stand. The question is, what are you going to do about it? The next step is yours.